All right, everybody, welcome back to the Kleen-Rite Radio podcast. I'm Fix It with Phil, and as always, I'm sitting here with my good buddy, Marc Tyndale. We are joined by an absolute car wash legend, Marcus Kittrell. Marcus, thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Just a quick background on Marcus. Marcus started in a full-serve car wash at the age of 16. A few years after graduating high school, he built his first self-serve car wash. He served as a director for the Southeastern Carwash Association. He was a pioneer in the express market in the U.S. He was the ICA president. He is also a large portion of the Mammoth Holdings Corporation, which currently owns and operates 156 express car washes across 24 states. That is quite a resume.
That is pretty big.
And a lot of car wash industry experience right there.
A lot of years.
And outside of that, Marcus, let's talk a little bit about outside of Mammoth Holdings. You have a 7-bay self-serve. It's gated, which is interesting. A 6-bay self-serve, a 3-bay self-serve, a 3-bay self-serve, 2-bay in-bay automatic, and a 5-bay self-serve, 2-bay in-bay automatic, correct?
Yeah, I operate those with my son, Buddy. And so we are in the business.
You are in the business.
Yeah.
First thing that comes to my mind with that resume, 156 express washes, but you are still staying in the self-serve market. Why?
Well, I was in the self-serve way before the express, and so I've always had them. And so I just see, I love the industry, and plus I still think there's a need for that market. And so, my son is 27 now. So after graduating college, he came to work for us at Mammoth Holdings. Did that for a while, did the maintenance in the maintenance department. And then, we decided, listen, why don't you just do your self-serves full time? So that's what we're doing on his side, which has been great. So he and I get to work together on that. Mm-hmm. So
I'm sure that's a lot of fun to work in the same industry that you love with your son, working on fairly new projects, right?
Yeah. We've we've been instrumental, or he's been instrumental in renovating some of these self-serve car washes. As a matter of fact, he just bought a 3-bay car wash a few weeks ago, and we're getting ready to redo it. So those are fun projects to do together.
So when you and your son are sitting down and you're talking about buying another wash, or you're talking about redoing a wash, with all the experience that you've had from full serve to express to self-serve, what are the main details that you're looking at when you're saying, all right, this is how we're going to do this washover?
Yeah, the first thing I think we look at is the infrastructure of what we're buying, like the 3-bay car wash, for instance. It's got good bones. It was built, I think, in 1998 or 99. And so it's got good bones to it. It has it's good location, small town. And so we just look at, is there opportunity here? It's really never been improved after it was built. It's just been operating. So we just saw an opportunity to with all the new features in the self-serve, with the credit card payments and the in-bay dryers and, the tri-foam, all the stuff that's available. Mm-hmm. So this would be a good opportunity to turn this wash into something kind of special.
Yeah.
We had a great day yesterday visiting some local washes, and some great, some good, some that need improvement. And I just thought that some of the stuff you said resonated, I know, with me, and Phil and I talked about it, how carrying over your experience from Mammoth and how private equity really does dive into customer analytics, customer experience. Let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff you said yesterday that kind of, we talk about it, but you put maybe a little bit more clarity to it, a little bit more corporate look at how we say it week after week after mm-hmm. week. We kind of say it, but you really brought it home. And I just wrote it down. Customer experience. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, no, it's everything it's everything in the express. Really, it's everything in any business. But in car washing, the express owners, you're all about the same. I mean, mm-hmm. everybody has the same, the same equipment, same layouts. Some add light, some add foam. Some are really good at selling clubs. Some are really good at executing volume. And so it's all about the customer experience when it comes to the Express. And, to take that over to like the self-serve, to me is an opportunity to be able to, I think, like you said,
change the game a little bit.
Change the game, but also carry over what we've learned in the Express to the self-serve.
I mean, you talked about touch points, and I mean, we drilled down to trash cans, and we drilled down to smaller vac hoses. I mean, a lot of us are stuck on 2-inch vac hoses, and we just have never thought about 1.5-inch vac hoses, making it so much easier on the lady, the women to get the tools into the car. And we talk a lot about branding, curb appeal, attractive sights, lighting. So that wasn't a lot that was new to us. We talk about branded signs rather than generic signs. But I think the thing that really hit me was you spent a lot of time talking about, and I spent a lot of time listening about how we can help the industry, especially like with, and I wrote it down, the vacuum plaza, right? So we all go to a lot of self-serve car washes, and they have 7 or 8 different brands of vacuums all over the site, sometimes in front of the bays. Sometimes they are, the hoses are different colors. The nozzles are worn out. Tell us a little bit how you would deal with that if you were taking this 3-bay and what you would do with the vacuum plaza.
Yeah, we're going to move the vacuums because they're right in front of the self-serve bays, which is, we noticed kind of how they were built back in the 70s and 80s and even 90s. But so we're going to move them off to the side, but they will be customer facing. So when you drive by the street, they won't be tucked in behind the building. They'll be in the front. And they'll have the booms and not the just a standalone vacuum. We talk about ease of cut for the customer, and the customer spends more time in the vacuum plaza than they do anywhere. So we have to make that efficient as possible. And I think that's what we can do with the booms, the boom type vacuums with hoses that are off the ground. They're cleaner that way. It doesn't make a car dirty or your clothes dirty. Swap your nozzles out every month, whether they need it or not. I mean, that's just something you need to get in a routine in. That's something we do in the Express. I mean, it's just an automatic replace them.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and the other thing that was we talked about the generation of how we think there'll be more central vac and more booms and self-serves as we progress and improve in this industry, and pay central vacs. And you also indicated there was probably not enough in the industry yet for apps or for mechanical devices to pay for boom style vacs, and I think that resonated with us as well. So we might have to do something about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look at the vacuum setup, like I said, the customer spends more time there than anywhere, and so we've figured out the throughput through the tunnels, and so in the self-serve, of course, we're selling time, not throughput. And so if you want them to spend more time in your vacuum plaza, maybe by vending, you have to make it convenient for them, not hard for them.
And pretty.
And so that's why I said we've got to get away from the old way of thinking when it comes to vacuums. Hey, just put it on a stand and it's fine. Well, no, it's not, because that's not a great experience for our customers.
Yeah. So. I mean, hand raised in the air. I was looking at, we visited some of my sites yesterday, and I was looking at even some of my decals, and it seems like you think you did something and you forget how long ago you did it.
Yep.
And then you're looking at it and you're like, I need to replace that. I need to fix that up. And I think it's really just doing that assessment of your site that is so important, and admitting to yourself that you need to spend some money and you need to do some stuff.
Something we do in the Express, we take pictures, a lot of pictures. Our managers take a lot of pictures and send them back. We have an app that they send everything through, and we've got people that kind of coach them on saying, what is wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
What is wrong with here? What do you see that's out of place? And because if you're at a site and you walk past something that needs to be painted every day, well, you kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of step back, and pictures do that.
Yeah, I know. Yesterday I took a picture I was always big on bollard covers because they didn't have to paint the bollard covers. And yesterday I was talking to you, and I was looking at Phil leaning on my bollards, and then I saw Phil look at my bollards. I was like, oh man, I need to get some bollard covers. I mean, just that little stuff makes a huge difference when you're looking at the professionalism of that site.
Yeah.
And I was a little embarrassed by my bollards yesterday at one site.
Well, and I think that goes into, and we can kind of dive into this a little bit of, when you go to your location, it's not about just getting done what needs to be done so you can leave.
Great point.
Right? It's about going there and we talk about SWOT assessments all the time and doing that, making that a yearly thing. But in reality, like, you should be doing that every time you set foot, whether it's you focus on one bay that day or you focus on the entire site. But it's not just get in there, get it cleaned up so you can get out and move on to the next thing. If you want to treat this like a business, you have to actually treat it like a business.
That's a great point. And I think in the self-serve industry, and I'm guilty of this because I've had it for so long, is okay, it's just kind of it's there. Mm-hmm. Let me do the minimum so I can get out and go do something else. Mm-hmm. And so we have to get out of that mindset. I mean, it's a business. And like I told my son, I said, this is your business. So we're not looking for shortcuts. We're not looking to say, what do I have to get done today to leave? No, it's how can we improve what we have for our customers' experience to come back? And I said, that's what the focus needs to be on. It doesn't need to be on what do I absolutely have to get done today so I can get out of here.
Yeah. Phil says it all the time, just good enough is not just good enough anymore. The other thing you said yesterday that was, and I kind of knew this about the Express because I was involved in it for a little bit, how you guys refresh your signs. You use a lot of snap frames so you can keep, and I know self-serve operators that have the same menu signs for over 20 years, you can barely read them. Mm-hmm. And I'm big on refreshing my signage, having it branded, but even using snap frames so that you can do it more often. You were saying every 6 months, Express, you might refresh because you might have a promo, you might have a towel club or something you want to promote. So they're constantly buying Windmaster inserts and branding them and putting them in. Well,
and the other thing that does, in my opinion, that does when you're constantly changing those signs out, refreshing that, they look new, they look clean, you're giving your customer a sense of confidence that you are actually taking charge and looking at the details of their experience, right?
You had a professional business.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to come across. And that's what you want to work towards all the time is, okay, how can I make this better? And, self-serve car washes have been around, I don't know, probably since the 50s and 60s, maybe even longer than that. Mm-hmm. And so, but there's some things that we still have in the self-serves that seem like we're back in the 50s and 60s and 70s.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if we want the returns, these things are expensive. I mean, they can get expensive. And so if we want the returns and we want the customers for us not to worry about if someone builds an Express down the street or this or that, then we have to take care of what's in our curve. Your customers are coming to you now, and so we need to take care of them and give them a great experience. I think the rest will follow with new customers and things like that. But it's like we almost take advantage of the customers we have now. We expect them to do with what we want them to deal with, and that's just not a great game plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and we give a lot of credit to the Express for helping to show the self-serve, but let's be honest. I mean, the Express private equity guys or the analysts, I mean, they pretty much just took some really successful business models like Starbucks, McDonald's, quick serve restaurants, retail that have really good image and really good marketing, and just took that and rebundled it into a car wash offering. And now we're trying to do the same thing in the self-serve. And whether it's a car wash or it's a Starbucks, it's the same principle.
Well, you had to, like in the Express, we're selling, it's all about memberships and convenience. But in the self-serve, you're selling the same thing. It's I think you're kind of getting out there a little bit with the memberships, but I think that's very interesting to see how that kind of plays out. But we're also selling time, And so, if we want customers to spend a lot of time at our site, then we have to make sure they're clean and well lit. They're working. When they put their money in, it works. Offer the latest and the greatest in the bays. You had the dryers, you had the ceramics, and so I think if we really want to our customers have a great experience and come back and keep using us, for instance, I'm really big on learning more about all the 360 booms inside a bay, not just 180-degree bay booms, because those can be a handful sometimes when you're trying to get around to the other side of your car.
Yep.
And so, okay, how can we improve that? That's been around forever.
Yeah.
So let's improve that.
Yeah, I know a common friend of ours, Rhett, he does a lot of double 360s in the bay to get a little bit more off the wall, and I think he's got a good look with some of those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway from the conversation that's happening right now is, you said in self-serve we're selling time, and we talk about that all the time, but it really boils down to if you give the customer a consistent, great experience, they will spend more time at your site.
And more time in the self-serve is more money.
Yes.
Just a byproduct of it. And so I think that's what we need to focus on in the self-serve is, okay, how can I get the customer to spend more time here? The money will come.
Yeah.
But let's get them to spend the time first. And if we can do that, and it's easy for them to do it, they got their kids out there helping, and you see the families out there, and you see the kids running around. They might grab a wand and go help. You have to make it easy for that whole process to work, and then the meter just keeps running. So that's and they leave with a great experience.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, I still think that wins above everything.
A great experience and a great memory.
And activity is contagious. So when you drive by a successful self-serve car wash, that really sticks in your brain. Maybe you're not going to wash right there, but when you see all the bays are full and they're lighted and kids are washing the cars, which I see a lot. I see dads teaching their kids how to wash a car. It's really awesome. I even thought about when I do my club promo is, kids wash for free and have a kid learning session on how to teach your kid how to wash a car in a self-serve bay.
Yeah.
Let them wash for free so the parents can teach them. I think that would be a great promo event, on a Saturday.
Well, I mean, you can look at like in the Express, we do, dads and grads. We have specials so that do the same thing in the self-serve.
Yeah.
Father's Day, give free car washes.
Yeah.
So just have that experience. And so, I just think if you really want a successful self-serve in bay, I just think you have to constantly focus on improvement, experience, and it has to be about the customer. And it can't be about what's convenient for me or convenient for the operator. And I think we get into that mode sometimes. It's not healthy.
I love that you said that, because I think that's one of the biggest downfalls that operators face. It's the get in and get out mindset, and we need to start to focus on it needs to be about the customers that you have and the customers that are going to follow behind that.
Yeah, and as we transition over the next 5-10 years from a lifestyle business or a hobby business to a more professional business, I think a lot of that's going to just come with it. But until you get to that point where it's not a lifestyle business, and it's just not extra income for your kid's college or whatever, and it's a real business that you're thinking about, you're assessing, you're looking at your P&Ls and you're planning for equipment maybe before you actually it falls apart.
Yeah.
Which I know with our facilities, we started something 2 years ago. We were kind of in a glut, so to speak. And we knew we had to spend some money. And now quarterly, we all ride all the sites and we just make a list of what we need to buy to get it to the next level. And if you have something on your mind that you want to buy, usually I'm the one that wants to buy everything, and my family, the ones that don't want to buy everything. But we meet in the middle and we assess it. We look at the stuff that there's actual ROI on. And then we look at the stuff that's just part of facility that we need to do to make the customer experience. And I think the ride arounds when you're not having to empty trash or clean a bay are so important. So you're focused on the ride around,
the experience,
whether it's once a month or once a week. We take lots of pictures. we send them to each other at night or whatever. And I think you said, I'm going to pivot a little bit. You said something interesting yesterday about bill acceptors, because we talk about cashless, but you're on coin and credit at all your washes.
We're credit. Yeah.
Credit only.
Yeah.
No coin.
No coins.
Okay. And you had actually thought about bill acceptors potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that I said, okay, what's convenient for the customer? If it's, of course, credit card only is convenient, very convenient for us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look back and say, okay, what if a customer wants to spend cash only and not just a card? Is okay. How can we do that? But where it's also an ease of use for them, and not have to go through a bill changer and then go back to and put feed quarters in.
Right.
It's okay, and it's at one spot, it's at the same spot where you do the credit card. So I said, let's rethink this a little bit. If we could take 5s, 10s, or 20s, and our pricing will work with that, then if you can, maybe look at taking both. And I think we're going to experiment with the little 3-bay we bought on. Listen, let's try one wash and let's just see how the response is for card and maybe cash in the bay. We don't want to do the bill changer because, again, to me that's kind of old. It's just it's not. It's another process the customer has to go through, another step. And we're trying to eliminate that.
So when we first started putting 20s in the bay, we considered, for the ease of the customer, putting bill breakers in. And then we thought about it, and we're like, we're just going back to really coin changers if we put bill breakers in.
Yeah.
And we let it go for a while, and we were getting 10s and 20s and no complaints. So my data would tell me that most operators, if you do go credit only, which does sound fantastic to me, but you're leaving, there's 20% of my folks that still use cash or still want to use cash. Bills. Yeah. No coins, but just bills. And they have 20s and they have 10s, and they understand now that there's no change given, and they're going to use that time. The customers have changed a little bit.
Yeah. And it's not just, that might be 20%. I think it'd be interesting really to drill down to the numbers and see exactly what that number is. Because sometimes I think we think it's higher than what it actually is, or it could be lower than what we think it is. But to me, it's about, okay, what is the most convenient for the customer? And if they can put a 20 in and they want to use $20 worth of time, then we need to allow them to do that.
Right.
Our problem is we think our mind is the customer. They think the way we think, and they don't.
Right.
And so I think we have to be very mindful of that type of stuff.
When I was a distributor, I used to tell my customers all the time, you are probably your worst customer. I had customers say, well, I never wash my car. I was like, well, you should probably wash your car to understand what they go through. Yeah. Use your car wash, and we promote our attendants and everybody to use it. They all get free car washes. When you're there, wash your car. They get to see the hose that's broken or the light that's out, and then they text it to the group chain. Promote your employees like you probably would to use the car wash.
Yeah, it's the best way. Honestly, washing your car in your bay is the best way to test your equipment. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a quick spot check to be able to say, yes, all of these functions are working the way that they're supposed to work, and this was enjoyable. If you wash your car in your bay and you walk away frustrated, you're doing something wrong.
Well, if you, and I'm guilty of this, you'll go through all your functions, you'll sit there and just stand in the bay and go through all your functions, say everything's working fine. Well, you won't take a lap around your car and do it because it takes more time to do that. And then you don't know if you pull the hose, there might be a leak in the hose that you don't know about if it's in a home position.
Yep.
But you'll find out when you pull it around the car.
Yeah.
It's just the little things like that I think you have to.
I saw yesterday when Phil was leaning on my bollard that I need to put a cover on. I looked behind him and I saw a foam brush hose that was kinked, and it was driving me crazy. So that made it onto the text chain. And, it's that owner's eye that you just have to constantly, you don't have to be out there turning wrenches. You don't have to be changing solenoids. You don't have to do your own repairs, but you at least need to understand what needs to be repaired.
Yeah.
You have to be able to do that. So, wow.
Well, it's like in the Express, we have checklists. there's probably 300 or 400 items on there for a monthly checklist that you go through, that the managers go through, the assistant managers go through to check stuff, check the equipment. A lot of this stuff is done every day. I mean, that's what it takes. I mean, to be successful in this industry. This is a tough industry. People think it's just, hey, build it and it's easy and they'll start coming in, or just empty quarters. That's how it used to be. 5-gallon bucket full of quarters, just empty them and everything's great. But at the times have changed a little bit more. It's difficult. It's hard business.
So with you and your son and the self-serve washes that you have, do you have a PM schedule? Do you guys run a schedule of items that you checklist yourselves? And
every week. There's every Monday there's a routine. As a matter of fact, and then Tuesday he'll be at certain washes every day. Mm-hmm. Then on Wednesday is we call it kind of a night day, where we turn all the lights on during the daytime, make sure all your bulbs are burning. You can do it on cameras, but you don't get the same feel if you're physically there looking at it. So that's how important the night business is. Yeah, you got to make sure your timer's set right. Make sure your timers are working. Make sure.
Yeah, if there's a digit, if your timer looks like the zeros look like C's, it's time to get your. It's probably time to get a new timer. Right?
Yeah.
But that goes right into we're right back to the experience that if you have somebody in the bay washing and it's dusk and the sun drops just that little bit and that light doesn't come on, it automatically gives them an off-putting feeling. Right. Yeah, and they'll remember that.
Yeah, it's all the little things in our business, like with any business, but it's all the little things. You have to pay the power, you have to pay the water, you have to fix major stuff. Am I going to go through the trouble of checking the lights? Am I going to go through the trouble of making sure my water is soft? Am I going to go through the trouble of making sure that I've got new signs up, and that bilingual signs? If you have a heavy population of Hispanics, you need to make sure they feel welcomed at your car wash as well, and understand, okay, this is what pre-soak means, or this is what high pressure soap means, and rinse. Like I said, you're there for the customer experience, and sometimes you don't want to get you don't want to lose somebody from a language barrier when it's literally just a sign.
Yeah, I spent some time with some really fantastic self-serves in LA a couple months ago, and that was probably my first time in LA looking at self-serves, and huge Hispanic population. And I mean, all the timers were bilingual, the signs were bilingual, their vendors were bilingual. And what else I learned is that it's a cash culture with that group. So, they had a very different feel about credit card usage versus cash than you or I would even. So getting across the country and seeing that stuff was really cool. Before we kind of wrap this up, I have one big question, Marcus. I mean, I've been hearing your name for 45 years myself. So I mean, you're a heavy hitter, and we really appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Is really great. What's next for Marcus and his son? And are you next year when you come back, are there going to be 25, 35 self-serves on this list?
I love opportunities. And so, if he wants to look at buying more, we'll definitely look at that. But we're also in the commercial real estate. We own some office warehouses, and we've just completed a couple sets. We're getting ready to start on another one, and some commercial real estate. So, I'll look at everything.
Yeah.
I love the car wash industry. Like I said, I'm probably a car wash junkie. I mean, I'll just, on the way here, I'll stop by, y'all's washes, of Kleen-Rite's washes, and just looked around and said, okay, I like this. I think this can be improved, and so, I just love car washes.
I got one more quick question. So, and I think I know the answer. So in the bio, there were 3 innovators. You were one of the innovators of the Express. I mean, I saw the Sonny's video, which was really good a couple years ago with you and Paul. So who were the 3?
Benny Alford, number 1, and then Lamar Beck.
And Lamar, okay.
And then I was able, as ICA president last year, I was able to induct Lamar into the Hall of Fame, which was a very great honor for me to do that. Well, both of them had a huge impact in my life.
But we're going to be voting on the Self-Serve Hall of Fame, and I know you're in top 3 for that.
Well, I'm gonna we all nominate Phil. Fixing with Phil's pretty famous now.
Fixing Phil is the most famous.
I don't have the experiences that you guys have. I hope to get there, but it is an honor for you to say that.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue to thank everyone. Kind of close it out here. That this was a fantastic session.
Fantastic session. Marcus, again, thank you so much for being here. Absolute honor to meet you and sit and talk with you. We also need to thank Ascenium. Ascenium is sponsoring this series of podcast episodes. Ascenium is a great partner for Kleen-Rite and for operators out there looking to raise their game. It is a great avenue to finance equipment and any other.
They've been very helpful getting operators who want to keep cash in their pocket and get a 7-year finance equipment lease to get new pump systems, new coin boxes, new vacuum booms, everything.
It's a great year to do that with depreciation.
Yeah.
That's a big deal right now.
Yep. Depreciation is king, 100% this year. So,
absolutely.
All right.
Thank you to everybody out there, and catch us on the next one.
Thank you.